My name is Eli. I'm 38 years old, divorced, no kids, and until about a year ago, I worked in marketing for a mid-sized media company in Chicago. It wasn't a bad life, just one that gradually started to feel like someone else's. After the divorce, which I won't get into, I packed my stuff, took what little I had in savings, and got the hell out of the city. I ended up in a small town a few hours south. It's not the kind of place you'd find on a map unless you were looking for. That was the appeal. Quiet, cheap, forgettable. A restart. The house I moved into was one of those. 2-good-2-true Craigslist finds. 3 bedrooms, detached garage, finished basement. It's all for less than half what I was paying for a studio apartment back in the city. I figured the catch was just the location, middle of nowhere. The fact that the place hadn't been updated since the 70s. But that was fine by me. I wasn't looking for luxury. I just wanted to be left alone. The first couple weeks were peaceful. I spent most of my time organizing the garage, refinishing old furniture, going for long drives to nowhere. I didn't even set up Wi-Fi for the first month. That was the point. To detox. To think. To disappear a little. It wasn't until mid-September that things started feeling off. It began with little things. Noticed a drawer in the kitchen was open when I knew I hadn't used it. A light in the laundry room I was sure I'd turned off. That kind of stuff. It's easy to brush those moments off when you live alone. You tell yourself you're just tired or distracted, but that uneasy feeling started to build. A tension, like the house was watching me, waiting for something. The first time I heard the humming, I was down in the basement organizing shelves. I had an old stereo plugged into the wall, but it wasn't on. Still, this soft, rhythmic hum seemed to bleed through the concrete. Faint, just barely there. I froze, held my breath, and listened. And it stopped. It was enough to make me think I'd imagined it. Maybe the pipes, maybe a distant lawnmower, but it didn't feel right. Felt close. Like someone was humming a lullaby with their lips almost touching the wall. I didn't go into the basement much after that. A few nights later, I was brushing my teeth when I heard what sounded like footsteps. Not upstairs, not on the porch beneath. Me. I live alone, remember? No pets, no roommates. I turned off the faucet and stood there, toothpaste still foaming in my mouth, listening. The sound was slow, deliberate, like someone pacing across a tight space. I walked out of the bathroom and stood at the top of the stairs, staring into the darkened basement. The door was cracked open just slightly. My heart was pounding. I didn't want to go down there, but I also didn't want to be that guy in horror movies who just locks his door and pretends everything's fine, so I grabbed a flashlight and went down. The air was cold. Colder than usual, swept the light across the old wooden shelves, the laundry machines, the cement floor. Nothing. I moved slowly toward the back wall, and that's when I noticed it. In the far left corner, behind a stack of broken chairs and a few old paint cans, there was a metal panel, square, about 2 feet wide, flush with the concrete. I'd never seen it before. The paint surrounding it was slightly discolored, like someone had recently moved things around it. I crouched and gave it a tug. Didn't budge at first. I had to get a crowbar from the garage. When I finally pried it open, the smell hit me first, damp earth and rot. The kind of smell you feel in the back of your throat. Behind the panel was a short tunnel. It's not dirt, but concrete. Old, maybe part of a root cellar or an old utility chamber. The tunnel was maybe 4 feet tall, just wide enough to crawl through. It extended 10, maybe 12 feet, then dipped to the right. I couldn't see where it ended. No part of me wanted to go in there. I shut the panel and stacked the chairs back in front of it. Then I went upstairs, double-locked the basement door, and tried to convince myself it was just some weird architectural leftover from before the house was remodeled, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. The next few days were worse. I'd wake up and find mud tracked into the laundry room. The chairs I'd stacked were knocked over. One morning, my toothbrush was wet, and I know I hadn't used it yet. I bought cameras. Basic motion-triggered ones from the hardware store. Set one up in the living room, one in the hallway by the basement door, and one pointing directly at that hidden panel. That night, I barely slept. Just laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting. When I reviewed the footage the next morning, I saw it. 3:12 a.m., the metal panel creaked open. A pale figure crawled out on all fours, thin, shirtless, filthy. He paused near the tunnel's exit, then stood up tall, maybe 6 feet 3 inches or more. He didn't look at the camera. Just stood there in the corner for nearly a minute. Then he walked into my laundry room, looked around. He leaned down and sniffed the clothes in my hamper, picked up my hoodie, wore it, then disappeared down the hallway out of frame. Felt sick. I called the cops. To their credit, they showed up fast. 2 cars. They searched the house top to bottom. I showed them the footage, but by the time we checked the crawl space, it was empty. Just a tunnel leading into darkness. They called in another team to help, but it didn't matter. Whoever he was, whatever he was gone. The lead officer, a guy named Harris, told me he'd seen this kind of thing before. Squatters living inside walls, crawl spaces, even attics. People going completely unnoticed for months. Said it happens more often than you'd think. They found scraps of food, water bottles, even a blanket stuffed into a recessed part of the crawl space. It looked like a nest. But the part that really shook me, Harris said he didn't think this guy had just moved in recently. The way the tunnel was worn, the claw marks on the wall, smell. This guy's been living here for a while, he said. Could be a year, could be longer. I asked if they were going to find him. He didn't answer. They helped me seal the panel. I had a contractor come in the next day to pour concrete over the whole corner. I also had steel bars installed over the basement windows, replaced the doors, got a full alarm system installed. Every night since then, I check the cameras before I sleep. So far, nothing. I haven't moved. I don't really know why. Maybe because running won't change the fact that for God knows how long, someone was living just feet beneath me, watching me, learning my habits, sleeping underneath my floorboards. Or maybe because a part of me still doesn't believe it's over. Some nights, I wake up at exactly 3:12 a.m., drenched in sweat, listening. And sometimes, just sometimes, I still hear humming.